Hi guys, this is Nina Bashaw with Nina Bashaw Photography. So I am often asked what software I use to edit my images and exactly how I achieve my look for my images. So I thought I would make a video, a short one, of how I edit my images. So I do use Lightroom for every image to do basic editing. So your exposure, warm it up, cool it down, highlights, all that good stuff. Not every picture that I take goes into Photoshop because that would take way too long. So I thought I would show what I do in Photoshop because I do love Photoshop, and I'm actually learned Photoshop before I learned Lightroom. So I learned things a little more backwards than some other photographers. But I thought I would show you what I do. So here are the images that are some of my favorites from this shoot that we did last weekend. Rachel is a friend of mine and also a fellow photographer, and her and her husband are just adorable, and I could shoot them all day, every day. They're just so cute. So let's take a few images, and what I do is I pick out which ones I'm going to edit, and then I hit right click, and then I say edit in, and then click that. But I already have them pulled up, so we'll just go right over to Photoshop. One thing that I do first to the images is I come over here to the little Lusker. So from black and white to the life set is little Lusker actions, and I really like them. I love her retouch set because I feel like it gives the most natural look to the images when you're retouching their skin. I've already played the action because it does take a while for the action to actually play all the way through, maybe up to a good minute depending on how many images you have loaded into Photoshop. But I am also kind of messy when I paint it on, and then I go back and on paint what I do not want retouched. For me, that works. So just whatever works for you in your workflow process. And I always get the guy's skin too because you want them to look handsome as well. And then I go back and just make sure that there's nothing that doesn't need to be touched. I always take it off of their eyes and their lips. I feel like that gives a more natural look to the images. And then his lips are barely showing, but we will go ahead and take it off just to make sure. And then I back up and look at it. To me, this is way too much. I would probably leave it at about maybe 30%. Rachel has beautiful skin, and I love her freckles. I do not want to cover those up. So I would leave it at about probably 30. If you wanted to, you could go up to 35%, but I like the way that looks, so I'm going to leave it. I'm going to flatten my image. I flatten as I go because to me it makes the workflow process easier and less confusing. The next thing I generally do are the eyes. I come down here to the same set, but it's the eye glow and sharpen. And for some people, depending on what kind of eye makeup they're wearing, it might not work. Her eye makeup is done flawlessly, so I want to enhance it to show off what a beautiful job she did on her makeup. This is, for my personal taste, way, way too strong. I will turn it down to about there, and then I back it up, and I see how I like it. Click it on. It just adds a little bit of extra pop to the image. So I'm gonna flatten it again, and then the last thing I will do is enhance her lip color. Unfortunately, sometimes if they're just wearing lip gloss, the camera doesn't always pick that up. and it's the thing that tends to fade the quickest, obviously, because most of the time when you're shooting a wedding or an engagement, they're going to be kissing quite often. So if they don't have time or forget to touch up their lipstick, that is one thing that I probably consistently retouch. And I personally like the natural lip color the best because it does just that. It's the most natural and enhances what they already have. And then just make sure it didn't get anywhere it didn't need to, and turn it down to about 30. Back it up to make sure that it looks natural and pretty. I might turn it up to about 35, and I really like how that looks. So I'm going to flatten again. Next I will show you, my dogs are horrible, by the way. Stop. Jeez, they're horrible. Okay. The next thing I will do is over the Greater Than Gatsby. I really like the subtle color edit. It's just that subtle. And I feel like it gives the image a nice pop without over processing the image. But there again, I don't leave that 100%. I look at it full size and then turn it down to maybe to about 60%. And I really like how that looks. It adds just a little extra to the image. And just to give a comparison, I'm going to show you let's do from the Reverie collection from Annie Manning with Paint the Moon actions. I'm gonna do Fresh Light Base. This one is very bright, but it also gives a bit of a pinkish tone to the images, which sometimes looks pretty and sometimes it's a little too much. I'm gonna turn it down to the same as what I have the other one, and then I compare the two to see which one I like the most. So that's Paint the Moon. That or Greater Than Gatsby. And they're both, I like both of them a lot, but in this instance, I like both of them. I think I actually am gonna do Paint the Moon. So I will go back and delete that. Look at it full size one more time just to make sure. And I do really like it. These are all customizable, which is one thing that I really like about all of the actions that I have here is you can go in and tweak however you feel it fits your style. But I like how that looks, so I'm going to flatten and I'm going to move on to my next image. And when you hit the discard, it just, I'll show you. When you open this up, it automatically plays this layer, but it's not automatically clicked. So when you flatten it, it just basically deletes the layers that you didn't use, and it won't mess it up. And then I will save my image. And then this one is, I had the same camera settings, but it was composed a little different. So the lighting changed ever so much. So in Lightroom, I think I did edit it a little different. I think I turned the exposure down just a hair. On this one, I've already played the skin action, but you know what? After thinking about it, I think because it is shot so far away, that I might delete it and not even worry about it. But I will touch up her lips because there again it's not super noticeable, and she has such a beautiful smile. I want that to be shown. So let's do that one. Make sure I got it on her teeth a little bit. Make sure it's all even and perfect. Then I back up to full screen. It's a little too much, so let's take it down to about there, and I like it. Her teeth are naturally beautiful and perfectly white, so I feel like if I were to touch those up, it would be too much, so I would leave those alone. The eye makeup, let's play with it, see how it looks. Too much, so let's turn it down to about 15% opacity, and I like that. I might even turn it up just a hair to about 20. I like it. Let's flatten it, and we'll leave it there. Alright, so now the next section that I want to play is one that's also from Little Lusker. It's in the classic set, and it's Soft Sands. So let's play that and see how that works. Immediately it's a little intense, but let's turn it down to maybe about 45. That's without it and with it, and I do like it, but I think I'm gonna play with some of the layers and see how that changes it. The color boost, I'm gonna turn that down by 15% and see if I like it. What do you think? I think I like it. Here's another layer that automatically plays with it, but isn't clicked. So you can kind of see how it darkens it just a little bit, but I like it unclicked. I like how it looks. So I would leave that just like that, flatten, and done. I hit Command and S for saving it, and you'll be able to see in Lightroom. You can compare the two side by side. Very similarly shot, so let's move on. This is shot same setting, but just a little bit different composition. I've already played the Dreamy Skin, and because it's a little bit closer up shot, I am going to actually paint this on. Make sure, oh goodness gracious, I missed a lot. And then I come over here. As you can tell, I'm very sloppy with it, and then I go back and kind of undo the areas that didn't need to be done. So her hair doesn't need, and his collar. I will brush it off of the eyes and her lips. There again, they both have beautiful skin, but I just want to enhance their beauty, so I'm going to turn it down all the way down to about 30. I flatten my image, and then I'm going to retouch her lips. Add just a little bit of lip color. Oops, wrong one. The retouch. looks good. Turn it down to about 35, and then see how that looks at full screen. Might turn it up to about 40. There. Alright. And then let's go down to clean workflow. See how that looks. Alright, so you can see a pretty big difference between the action and the Lightroom adjustments. It's a little too much for me, so I'm gonna turn it down. I'm gonna start at 45. And I really like that. Here's all the layers that are inside of it. The two that I tend to mess with the most are the warmth, because sometimes you are in a setting where you have that really beautiful golden lighting, so you don't maybe need much enhancement in the warmth department. Or sometimes it's already perfectly lit and you don't need that spotlight, but I kind of like it in this instance. The warmth, I might actually turn that down just a little bit. Let's turn it down to 15% and see how that looks. So that's with it. And I really like how that looks, so I'm going to flatten it. And as far as those layers that didn't get clicked. And I'm going to Command S for saving. And then we're done. So I'm going to go back to Lightroom so we can compare. So here and here is what we just did. And you can see where it's just ever so slight. They still look like themselves. They don't look overdone, and it's not overly bright or overly warm. For my personal taste, I think this is really beautiful. Same with these two. A little warmer and a little brighter, and her makeup is just a little more enhanced. And remember, on this image, this one we did not do her skin, we just did her eyes and her lips. And then this one and this one, same thing. So yes, that's how I edit my images, and then from there I export them and deliver them to my clients. So I hope this video has helped. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email through my website, which is ninabashaw.com. If you're interested in purchasing any of these Lightroom actions, these Photoshop actions that I just showed you how to use, my favorite are Paint the Moon by Annie Manning, Little Lusker, and Greater Than Gatsby. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. Hope I helped. Bye-bye.